Okay, I'm here today with Gabriel Herrera, who's one of the top youth soccer players in the state of Nevada, where he lives in Las Vegas. He's played for the Heat FC, and at 17 years old, he's incurred two ACL injuries that he's recovered from and had surgery from. So it's a pleasure to speak with you today, Gabe. Thanks for joining me.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you, Les, for having me on.
Yeah, great to have you. And maybe you can just talk, Gabe, a little bit about how you got into soccer and yeah, what you love about the game.
All right. Well, I first got into soccer when I was 4 years old. I have two older brothers, and they were both playing soccer already. So, like, I instantly just wanted to play, and I always played with them. And I think I started playing club soccer around, I think, 8, 9 years old, around that age, and I just loved the game. I was never at that age. I was always like smaller. I would always play with I played up with my brother's team. He was in '01, and I played. I'm born in 2002, and so I played up with those big boys, and it was like I was I was like the grunt of the group, you know. And then I had to, like, as we grew up, I had to like get into my own age group, and so I transferred into like a 2002 age group, and where I was playing on the second team, and that's I wasn't really the best player. Like I was always going to tryouts, and then I wouldn't make the team, or I'd get. I remember one time I got cut from the team, from the first team, and I had to go to the second team. So I remember there was one tryout where I was like, I think it was, I don't know, I think I was around like 14. I was trying to make into a first team, and I didn't make it. And I was telling my mom, I was like, I want to quit. I don't want to play soccer anymore if I'm just gonna be playing on, like, like, I don't know. I was really feeling down, like, and I don't know why I kept playing. I don't know why, but I love the game, and I ended up making the first team. I ended up going to a different club, playing there for a year, and after that year, I went and tried out for another club and and I ended up making the first team with one of my good friends, and from there I played on the first teams, and I became a better player overall, and my confidence grew, and I think that's the main reason why um, I succeeded as like a young youth player, because my confidence from um, like not having a lot of confidence, and then going from making the first team, like it boosted my confidence so much. It made me feel like I want to, like, oh, I just accomplished something, like I want to go do that again. So I don't know, because I never really had that feeling of, like, I was always a second team. I was always like the smallest player, like I didn't get a lot of playing time, and so I like that feeling of being like needed, or you know.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
so kind of making that first team, it sounds like you mentioned that was helpful in building your confidence.
Yeah.
What happened after you made the first team? Were you able to continue playing and progressing, or maybe describe what
Yeah.
happened after that?
Yeah. After I made the first team, uh, I was, I mean, I'm blessed to have good coaches, because they were able to bring me from where I was as a player, and um, like evolve me as a player. And after that, like I started like learning into my like learning my real position, like a defender, a defensive position. And I love defense. I'm a defender. I'm a right back or a center back. And I don't know. I have a passion for defending, so I just took defending, and I just kept going with it. And I moved. I was playing for a club called Downtown Las Vegas, and I played with them for about, say, 2 3 years in the first team. And then after that, there was a age group change from, if you had to play your own year. So if you're born 2002, you had to play for 2002. If you're born 2001, you play for 2001. So it was a big change, because before then it was just 2002 2001 players mixed together. So now people were going their own directions. It was like, it's gonna be big. You don't know what team's gonna be good now. You don't know, like, where all the players are going to be. Everyone's going to be changing teams. So I was kind of worried. I was like, I don't know where to go. Everyone was confused. And then I found out that one of the best players on my team at the time, he was going to try out for another club called Heat FC. And I was like, all right, well, I mean, if he's going there, I'm going to go there. So I went to try out with my other teammate, Jose. And the first day at tryouts, we ended up killing it. Like all three of us, we did really well. And and then at the end of at the end of the tryout, the coaches bring us over and they put us all, like they put all the 18 players in a group, and they put us all in another group with the second team. And like, I mean, we weren't like cocky or anything. We weren't like, you know, like mad or throwing a fit. But after we were just like, wow, like, well, I mean, they don't want us. So we're just upset because, you know, we performed really well, and then they ended up not wanting us. And then the next day we got callbacks saying that it was a mistake to come out again. And then I ended up playing with Heat, and I got the starting spot for center back. And before then, for downtown, I was playing as a right back. So when I made Heat, I was playing as center back, and I never played center back before. Like I never really played it fully. So that was a big change, and I ended up loving center back. That's my main position right now.
Yeah.
Um,
What do you love about it?
I love the leadership role in it. I love how you can see the whole field. It's like, you know, the goalkeeper, they have the best view of the whole field, but I mean center back's right there too. So they're just one step ahead of them, or like one step behind them. Like, you know, like they can see the whole field. They can give directions. They control their team. You know, it's center back's a big role, and I like feeling the pressure of having a big role.
Right. Do you feel like it enables you to control the flow of the game being in that position or that role?
Yeah, definitely. Especially if you're more like, you know, a player that likes to take lead, and which I think I am. I'm that type of player. I like to, like, if something's not going our way, I like, you know, I'm gonna encourage my teammates to get it going. You know, and I don't know. I think the center back position just fits me well because that's the type of person I am.
Yeah. And tell me, Gabe, in terms of your first injury, I mentioned earlier you've had two ACL
Yeah,
injuries and surgeries.
yeah.
What happened with your first ACL injury? Maybe you can tell us a little bit about sort of the circumstances.
Yeah, it was May 6th of 2018. I was at we had just the weekend before, we had just came back from a weekend in San Diego playing a showcase. And the following May 6th we had a game. It was just a normal a league game, and it was against the lowest team in our bracket. So they're lowest in the brackets, and uh, it was supposed to be an easy win, and it was halftime, and we were up, I think, 4-0. We're up 4-0, and then so halftime ends, then second half starts, and he doesn't start any starters, you know, because he wants to keep the legs good for the next game the next day. So he starts um, the subs, and then the starters get put in. So I get put in again. All the starters get put in again like 15 minutes into the second half, and then I wish. I mean, it's crazy because it's just like I wish I never would have won. I wish I would have never got subbed back in. But anyways, I think I was just being a little reckless. I was being a little reckless because it was 4-0. We were just like kind of dominating. We were just dominating them, and I was going up too much. And I went up for a corner kick, and I was trying to get a header onto goal, and they crossed it in, and one of the defenders headed the ball outwards into the corner, and the ball was closest to me and another player on the other team, and we both started like, you know, side to side racing for it. And
Yeah.
it was kind of like at this time of the game, it was just like the other team didn't really care. Like they knew they were gonna lose. It was kind of like they just kind of trying to hurt us a little bit. They're getting angry, which, you know, that happens. And so I knew right before we can get to the ball, I look to my right, and I see, like, we make eye contact, and I know, like, like, you're not going for the ball, you're just gonna go hit. So we make eye contact, and then we go to shoulder to shoulder, and I planted my right foot on a little hill, like a little kind of like a bumpy area. I planted, and then I went in to go shoulder to shoulder, and my body moved one way, but my leg stayed still, and it kind of just snapped inwards. And I heard two pops, and I knew. Well, I didn't, honestly, I didn't know, because I've never had I knew something was wrong because I've never heard a pop or anything like that. I've never been injured before. I've never broken a bone. Still haven't. Um, and so I knew that it was something serious now. and then I tried to take a step, and my knee just felt like it collapsed into like my lower leg. It just felt really weird. It just collapsed. So I just fell to the ground, and then I think that's because all the adrenaline wore off, and then I just fell to the ground, and then I just started feeling all the pain, and then yeah, and it ended up being a week later. I got my surgery, and it ended up being a lateral meniscus and a ACL tear.
Mhm. What
So
was the? Go ahead. Sorry.
it was yeah. So it was about um, I'd say 9 months recovery. So
Mhm.
or
What
you
was the first thought that went through your mind, Gabe, when you felt those pops?
um, I think I was a little bit I was concerned and confused because like I said, I never had a serious injury before then. So I was like, I was kind of thinking like, nah, like, that wasn't me. That wasn't my leg. I was like, that's kind of got to be his. And then, when I took that first step, that's when I knew I was like, dang, like, like this hurts.
Yeah.
So those are
So
I don't know. I was just kind of confused.
yeah, and so when you took that first step, then maybe you can talk a little bit about what happened after that. You said then you felt pain,
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
what were you experiencing?
Yeah, it was bad pain. Like if I can't really explain what it felt because I mean the first time I tore my ACL it was the it, it hurt way more than the second time. I couldn't. It felt like I had like a 100-pound weight onto I was leaned over like in a cradle position, and because I couldn't move my right leg off of my left leg. I felt no like it kind of felt like I wasn't connected to my muscles, so I couldn't
Mm.
move it, and I was just in so much pain. And I remember my teammates coming up saying, "Are you okay?" And I'm like, and I was like, I don't even remember what I was saying. I was just, I don't know, but I kind of like, I told them like no. And then I remember, after I was trying to, my coaches tried to get me up and to walk, the trainers and coach tried to get me up, try to walk off. And I was still thinking at this time, I had no clue like it was an ACL. I was still thinking that it was like, this got to be like an ankle or something, or I don't know. I was kind of just, I was just kind of, I was really confused at this time. And uh, I remember trying to walk, and the feeling that it was just like I said, it just felt like my knee was just falling through. Like every time I walk, and it was just like every step I took, I was just like intense amounts of pain. Like it was, I don't know. It's probably the worst pain I felt was when I first tore it.
Yeah.
Like all my life, I've never had a pain, something that happened to me that was worse than that. I think.
So you get the coaches who are trying to help you off the field, and the physiotherapists,
Mhm.
and what happens after that?
I got into I took I was on the trainer bed. I was calmed down. I was just kind of just it was just aching. Like I was just laying down because that was the only way it would stop being in pain. And the manager from the team came, and she gave me ibuprofen. I took ibuprofen. I went, and then they realized that it was the game ended. They realized it was like pretty serious. So I went home. I got taken home. I remember I had to have the whole back seat to myself because I couldn't I just had to stay in one position the whole time. And I remember I got home. I I was actually with my teammate. My teammate gave me a ride home, and his mom. And I got home. My mom was at work. It was just my brother that was home actually. And I texted him saying I need help to get inside, but I don't think he really like knew what I was talking about. So he comes outside, and then I don't have crutch or anything, so I'm just kind of like wobbling in. I get in, and then I sit down, and I'm just I sit down, and I stay at the front at my front door. I have a chair at the front on my front door, and I sat there for like an hour just after the game, like just an hour, just like because I couldn't move. I didn't know how to move. It was a weird feeling for me. Like I couldn't move. Like I feel like I didn't want to move or anything. I don't know. Like I
Was
didn't
there
want.
swelling in your knee, or?
Yeah, yeah. There was a like I honestly like even if I tried to move, like I think I was just kind of scared to accept because if I tried, then I would have like known for sure that something was wrong. So I just kind of sat there and just watched my knee. Like it was really swollen actually. Like it was. I have pictures of it. It's pretty fat, but yeah. And then later that night, my mom came home. We talked about what happened, and then she saw how swollen it was. Um, I think we got a doctor's appointment that week, and I think we got the MRIs took. I think that the MRIs was it was a like I guess a grueling process. It was really like it got me angry because it was like just waiting to get my MRI, like knowing like in the back of my head I knew that something was wrong, but I didn't want to actually see it. You know,
Hmm. So that period, how long did it take to get the MRI from the time you were
about like 5 days, I think.
okay?
Mm.
So you had the MRI how long after you got hurt?
Uh, I think like 2 or 3 days, and then I had to wait like 2 or 3 days to get the MRI results back, and then yeah.
So what were you thinking about, or what were you kind of feeling, and what was going through your mind during those few days when you had the MRI but you didn't know the results yet?
I felt angry for most of the days, but I was just kind of like I kind of half accepted it, but in the back of my mind, I was just kind of like pushing it away. Like I never really fully thought about it. I never like sat down and thought about what it could actually be because I kind of just avoided it. I think because that was like a coping mechanism for me. It was just like to not think about my problems or just like to just not think about them. So I don't know. Like I remember going through day to day, I just felt like more angry because I don't know. Like I guess I was just always like stressed. I was just stressed for those few days because I was thinking about all the possibilities of what if it's this, what if I'm out for the next. I can only be out for 2 months. I can't afford to be out for more than 3 months. Like it was just stressful.
Mm. Were you angry at the competitor in any way, or
No, no, I don't think I. No, I've never felt angry because I don't think it was his fault. I think it was more my fault than his fault. I was like I always talk to myself, why am I not angry at him? But I don't want to blame that on someone else. Like say I tore my ACL because of this guy. No, I want to like I know that. I mean, maybe it was my footing. It wasn't his. So no,
yeah,
I've never felt anger towards him.
right,
And when it happened, he told me that he was sorry. Like, but so we made up.
right. But you were angry about the fact that you had all these uncertainties.
Yeah,
It sounds like about the impact of the injury and whether or what it would mean in terms of how long you were away from the game. Is that right?
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. That I think it was mainly of how long I was going to be away from the game. That's what was like really stressing me out because I had a big event in July, and this was May. So, like I said, I couldn't afford to be out for a long time, and I was
Right.
really stressing about it.
And was that big event just something that you wanted to compete in just for your own satisfaction, or did it have other implications for like making some other team or your future?
The event was it was the youth. It's called the Gothia Cup, the Youth World Cup is what they call it. It was in Sweden. I got selected to play for the team. It's like a select team, and it was in Gothenburg, Sweden, and it was like a 2 week tournament. And uh, I was, I mean that's just that opportunity is just like something that every kid dreams to have, like an opportunity to go. Like that was my main dream because my brother he had the opportunity to go to play in England for 2 weeks for like the same kind of thing, and I always wanted to do that. I always wanted to go out of the country because I never been out of the country. I always wanted to go out of the country and just to play soccer. Like I wanted to play soccer out of the country, and
Mhm.
so that was. And when I got the email like that I was gonna go, I like that was just my main goal for the once I got the email was just to train, and then like because that opportunity, like that's like there's coaches all over the place. There's like scouts all over the place. You don't know everyone's watching that,
Yeah.
and I think that's why it was really hard for me.
Right. So that combination of wanting to go overseas
Yeah,
and also the opportunities that it might lead to was hard to accept that that wasn't going to be the case. I guess that you weren't going to be going.
yeah.
So maybe you can talk a little bit about when you found that out and kind of what happened when you did get the MRI back, and what
Mhm.
information you were given from the doctor at the time.
Yeah. When I found out the news of the MRI, the results of the MRI, I actually found out from my coach. It was kind of an accident. He called me and he says, "Hey, buddy," and I was like, "How you doing, coach?" I was kind of confused of why he was calling because I didn't really understand. I mean, I don't know. So I answered the call and we're talking about it, and walking into the house on my crutches at the time, and he's like, "I heard about the news," and I was like, "What news?" And then um, he's like, about your knee. He's like, I'm sorry to hear that that the ACL is, but and all that. And I'm like, and I kind of just had to play it off like I knew about it. And I was like, oh, and he's like, I was like, yeah, it is what it is, blah blah blah. And I got off the phone and I was just in shock. I was like, well, I was like, my ACL, my meniscus, and I just um, I sat in my room for for a long period of time, and it was weird because it didn't hit me. It never hit me while I was in my room, and I was angry because I wasn't upset about it yet. So I was like mad at myself because I didn't feel like any emotion sort of yet. So I was just sitting there and I was like, why aren't I sad? Like,
Mm.
and then like I had a like I knew my mom knew because she told my coach. So I texted my mom and I just said, is my ACL, my meniscus torn? And she said, she told me, yeah, she called me. And then we talked about it. And then, yeah, I think that was pretty hard too,
Yeah.
talking about with my mom
Yeah. Why was it hard?
because, because she was as heartbroken as I was. And it was, that's like, that's hard for me, seeing my mom, upset.
Yeah. So she's really invested in you, and so it was hard just seeing her feeling your uh,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, definitely.
yeah.
Yeah.
And so, initially, Gabe, you said that you weren't feeling any emotion. Was that, maybe you can
Yeah. I
talk
don't
about why?
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know why. I think it was because I was just in shock generally. Like like I said, I was just sitting in my room and I was like angry at the fact that I wasn't feeling anything because I was like, why don't I care? Like, why isn't it that I care? But it wasn't that I didn't care. It was just because it didn't really register in my brain like long enough for me to think of like I didn't think of I was going to be out for 9 months. I didn't think that I was how hard the therapy was going to be. I didn't think of any of that at the moment. But once like it's just kind of set in my head, then it was like there. It was just a weight, like a heavy weight on me.
Hmm.
Just like I just felt it all, like all the emotions at the same time.
Yeah. So when did you realize that? Like after, you're kind of sitting down and having a conversation with your mom, is it like a day, or like over what period of time do you actually realize, well, hey, I'm in for a very long recovery here, and I'm going to be
The net,
missing these things?
yeah, the next day, um, when I, or no, after surgery, um, after the day after surgery, when I woke up, I that I had to go to therapy the day after, and just do like my checkup or whatever,
You
and
mean the day after you got your MRI, or?
of surgery, the day after surgery.
Okay.
Yeah. So the day after I did my surgery, um, that's when that's when it actually set in for me because of how much pain I was in, and when I went to the therapist and I looked at my knee, and already saw so much atrophy. It just looked so deformed and so like just out of like swollen. It just didn't look right. And I looked at it and all the things I couldn't do and how I felt, and I was like, this is gonna be a long recovery.
Yeah.
I
So
knew that.
just going back to a little bit before the actual operation, what were you told in terms of the need to have the operation? Or you get the MRI back, or it sounds like you found that out from your coach, but what
Yeah.
communication did you have from the physician, or who was it that then sort of, which medical provider then did you speak with about your injury and what was going to happen?
Yeah. So my doctor is Dr. McGee, Roddy McGee. Um, I he's a really good doctor. I got recommended to him, and I remember when we went over the MRI results, he told me that I mean, like, all the same things he tells any other, like every other athlete that tore the ACL. Like, it's gonna be. I mean, he was blunt with me. It's gonna be like a long recovery. It always is, but you have to stay. Your mental game it has to be as strong as your physical game. Like, it's got to be up there because it's gonna be hard. He let me know that. Like, I mean, I like before I like how he handled, like, kind of going over the results with me. It was kind of like I don't know, it was kind of motivating in a way because I was kind of down at that time, but he kind of like helped me a little bit, just
Right.
kind of set up my like how it's gonna go, how my like what's actually wrong with my knee, just clearing up all those small details and stuff.
Right. So he gave you, it sounds like he gave you specific information about kind of what happened and
Yeah.
what was going to happen next. Is that right?
Yeah, so what happened to my knee is like what he explained was my meniscus it was called the bucket handle flip, or the yeah, so it was like the bucket handle when they flip over. What happened was my meniscus flipped on the other side of my knee, and he was explaining that to me, and then my he was showing how my ACL, like, because we got the pictures and stuff, so she was explaining to me how my ACL how it should be and where the tear was, and
Right.
what we had to fix. And so, like, we're going over a lot of that stuff too, which I like because I like to visually see what's going on.
Yeah, I was just going to ask, was that helpful kind of having Dr. McGee walk you through the visual aspects and showing you, okay, this is what it's supposed to look like, this is what's happened? Did he talk about what happens in the surgery itself or?
Uh, yeah, yeah, he did, but I mean, I like at that time, I had no clue, or I didn't really know
Yeah.
anything about like anything about like my knee, or like I didn't know anything about that. I wasn't really educated on it, so like a lot of the things he said, I was just like, wow, that's crazy. Like, that sounds that sounds crazy.
Hmm.
I don't know.
So did you get over time? Did that information seem a little more understandable, or you said
Yeah,
it sounded kind of crazy? But as you started going through the process, or either before or after your operation, did you have a better understanding of the meaning of some of that content he was giving you?
yeah, definitely. Because I mean, after that, I for sure went home and like looked up all the types of like ACL like surgeries, all the like different types of tears there is, and all that. I mean, and over the time of like you hear all these words and stuff like that you just like like in like the therapy world and stuff like that, like like workouts and just certain terms for your muscles and all that stuff. Like, you just kind of like hear it, like going to all the doctor meetings and all that. Like,
Yeah. Were you getting sort of like language that was, complicated, or like jargon, I guess, where they were using sort of technical terms to explain things, or was that something that you did you understand? Like, okay, well, when they're using certain terms, did you understand that, or was there, did you feel like you wanted more sort of lay terms or sort of understandable terminology?
yeah, well, like the medical terms were like the like those were pretty hard to understand because I mean I didn't know like a lot of the medical terms that Dr. McGee was like talking about. But I'm glad I had my mom with me because she my mom's a nurse, so she knows like way more than I do about
Right.
all this stuff. So she helped me a lot, um,
Yeah.
explain to me like what's going on, like with certain things, and how it's gonna work, or what if like what McGee said, and like she would just just like make sure I knew or understood like what's going on.
Right. Would you say that's important, as in your experience, or even for other injured athletes, to kind of make sure that you're clear on the information that you're being given from a physician or from a treatment provider?
Yeah, definitely. Because like I mean if I had no clue, like if I wasn't educated on my injury at all, or what was gonna happen in the surgery, then like you don't really know you're not gonna know how to like what to feel or why you're feeling it if you don't understand like what's going on or why he's gonna do that in your surgeries like specifically. So
Yeah.
like so I know why after the surgery, like why it's hurting in my calf even when I had like surgery on my knee, like why it's hurting here, because he explained all these things before, like you're gonna have pains here, you're gonna have pains here. So I like if I didn't really like listen to that and I didn't know any of that, then I'd get like because in the beginning I was getting frustrated, like why do I have these little pains here, but like yeah, he'd have to explain to me like that happens, like that's all part of the process, you know.
Yeah. So there was, excuse me, there were times where as you were going through the experience, you were unsure about why you might be experiencing certain types of pain, but it also sounds like in this case, Dr. McGee would give you information and help you understand the meaning of the pain or why that was occurring. Is that right?
Yeah, so I had doctor visits once a month with him, just checkups on my knee, and every time like I'd have a question like why is it swollen here? You know, he'd answer and explain why, and and I loved it because it's like because it would frustrate me like just like the little like with an ACL, you always have like little tweaks and like in your leg, like there's just always little pains every now and then. So and they'd frustrate me like a lot. I hate it, and I'd be like, "Why is it doing this? Am I doing something wrong?" So when I'd go, I always tell Dr. McGee like, "What's going on? Am I doing something wrong?" And he'd always reassure me like, "No, you're doing everything right. This is why this is happening."
Yeah.
Just kind of making me feel like I'm on the right path still, like I'm doing good.
Yeah. And that, so that reassurance was important for kind of
Yeah,
putting your mind at ease and making you feel like you were still doing the right things or on the
yeah.
right path, as you mentioned. And as you were working, I guess in terms of your recovery, were you getting, you mentioned being on the right path. How did you know kind of what the right path was? Were you getting assistance from physiotherapists or how was your program kind of determined?
Um, the honestly, it was the first time. It was like I didn't have a physiotherapist. I was doing therapy, just normal therapy, three times a week. And I honestly hated therapy. I did it for 6 months, 3 times a week,
Yeah.
and that was like my schedule was that. And then I had like just home workouts, like home band work and stuff like that.
Hmm.
And
Why did you hate the therapy and where did you do it?
I did the therapy at
You don't have to name a specific
okay,
clinic, but
yeah.
yeah,
Um, why I dislike therapy? Why I hated therapy because of like it. Well, the first 3 months are like the worst months, and in my opinion, I feel like for ACL for my ACL, I only needed like 4 months of the therapy that I got, and I overdid the therapy. I think, in my opinion, but that was just a mistake I made. Um, but I think it was a lot of the therapy. I mean, maybe it's because of where I live. A lot of the therapy is kind of like it's kind of iffy. Like I really don't like the more I was educated about my injury, the more I knew like what like the workouts I should like be doing and what workouts weren't really safe for me. And the more I got into like um after I did 6 months of that therapy, I went on to a gym and to a trainer named Rob Martinez, and after I was with him a lot, I realized that the therapy that I was doing really wasn't helpful at all. It was just me doing the same workouts over and over and over again,
right.
and
So when I was asking you, Gabe, sorry to cut you off, but I just want to clarify. When I asked you like where you were doing your therapy, was that at a clinic? Was it at your house,
yeah,
just on your own, or?
yeah, I was doing it at a clinic, like a therapy
Okay,
clinic. Yeah,
got it.
sorry. Um, but yeah, like once I realized the like I felt like I missed out. Like I wasted a lot of my time doing 6 months of just like clinical therapy, like at the normal therapy place, and I feel like I could have been strengthening my muscles after the because after the 4 months, like you just need to reawake all your muscles and all that, but after I feel like I should have just been getting them stronger, and I feel like all therapy was doing for me was just like repetitive workouts, doing the same thing, same thing. I mean, and I don't know, it just kind of yeah, that's kind of why I didn't never really liked it.
Right.
And
Was it not sort of tailored specifically to sort of an athletic recovery, or maybe the specifics of your position? Was that part of the reason why it was frustrating, or?
yeah, like none of it was specifically. I never had like a program that was specifically for me. It was just like the basic protocol of an ACL recovery, like do
Yeah.
some band work, do that. Like it was never really specific, like things on like why I'm doing this as to like why it's going to benefit my knee. It was just like the basics of like of for an ACL recovery, and that's why
Right.
I think I would have benefited so much more of just going to like a specific trainer that's focused mainly on my recovery and
Mhm.
my knee, because like I feel like I just lost like 3 4 months just right there.
Yeah. And so kind of how did you make the decision that it was time to go somewhere else? Was that
Um,
intentional or?
yeah, definitely. Cause I knew like those 6 months, like that was the goal, to do 6 months of therapy. Cause that was just like the number, like, oh yeah, do 6 months of therapy. That was just like the number. And then, so
Why?
after,
Why was that the number?
I don't know. Cause people say like, oh, like when they tear their ACL, yeah, 9 months, and then like 6 months of therapy. And that was just like I don't know why. I guess that was just the normal. And so I did that, and then I knew that like at that point I need to get strong, like if because that's like nearing the end of my recovery, like 4 months more of my recovery left, so I need to strengthen my muscles now and get back all the speed and all the muscle that I lost. And
Hmm.
so I definitely knew that it was time to transition into a higher speed workout.
Yeah. So it sounds like there was awareness that, yeah, you required something that was sport specific, or that your recovery wasn't just sort of for a normal person just trying to get back to walking kind of thing, but into high level competitive sport.
Yeah.
And
Mhm.
and so you said you kind of made a transition to going to a different gym. Is that right?
Yeah.
Maybe you
Uh,
can talk about that a bit.
Yeah, Dr. McGee actually he recommended me to trainer Rob Martinez. He has a gym here called Gym Las Vegas, and it's kind of like a private gym, and Dr. McGee was telling me about, he's mainly for recovery for athletes. Like he has certain programs for them, and so my mom and I, uh, we went in, we checked out, we had an appointment, and he had this. It's called the functional movement assessment, I think, and it's like this. He has this like machine or whatever, like a little device, and it shows it's hooked up to the computer, and then I have to do all like these movements and stuff, and these little dynamic movements. And he was like looking at my body, and this is after the 6 months of therapy. So like I've already been through that. And after the test, he like it's all like what's it called, it's all
Like
like he's writing every,
visualized.
yeah. So he's rating all the workouts I do from 1 to 10, or like on a scale from 1 to 10, how this certain body part is moving, whatever.
Mhm.
And after I got I think it was like I think it was a 5 out of 10, like almost as bad. Like if I got a four, I would have to go back and go back to therapy, and like and like go back to the doctor and like go see him again. And so I was like I was at a really bad like place. I had a lot of atrophy. My body was moving so awkwardly. Like I was all messed up. And thankfully I found Rob when I did, because like I needed to. And he built me back up. He built me back up physically, um, definitely mentally, because I mean you look better, you feel better. So that's, I don't know. And just working out in general is just, it makes me feel good.
Yeah.
So
So would you say that kind of Rob helped you to gain a lot of functional fitness or movement patterns, and did that impact your mental state or your frame of mind?
yeah, because like I felt like I wasn't in my own body, and like I was in someone else's. Like I have my upper body, and then I have like my right leg or my left leg, and then my right leg was someone else's leg. Like
Mm.
it didn't even feel like it was connected to mine. And the way my program was set up, it was so perfect for me, and um, and I just built all my body back together, and
Yeah.
all the move I don't know, and all the movements and all the things he had me do, like I don't know, it all benefited me, and I put my full trust into Rob, and I
Yeah.
definitely benefited off of it.
Right. So you said that your right leg didn't feel like it was part of the rest of your body.
Yeah,
Why was that?
because it felt like it was like a foreign object on me. Like I didn't, um, it wasn't as strong as my left. It didn't move as fast as my left. It always does did different things slower than my left, like my left leg. So it just felt like it was never on the same page as me. Like I
Yeah.
don't know, it's kind of a weird feeling. I don't know.
Yeah. So there were those inconsistencies between your right and your left leg. And you mentioned you put your trust in Rob. What was it about him that made you trust his knowledge or his expertise or what he was doing with you?
Because I mean, well, first of all, because Dr. McGee, he recommended him to me, and I know that Dr. McGee is a great doctor, so I knew that Rob was going to be good, and I could just tell off the bat that Rob was legit because there's other gyms that there's plenty of other gyms that I could go to. I could go to like a just a normal local gym here, and I could do my own workouts, or I can go to another trainer, but are they actually they weren't going to do the same thing that Rob was going to do, and I knew that the way he set his programs up and the people that go to his gym they're happy. They like the way, and I can tell that the athletes that he has going to his gym, they're good athletes, and no one ever says like no one's ever talked bad about Rob's gym, and I knew that um, like the way that he could set up my body for like my goals. He had I told him all my goals in the beginning, and he kind of just said, okay, let's do those goals. Let's write those goals down. I'm gonna tell you how we're gonna get there. I'm gonna explain to you what we're gonna do, what workouts we're gonna do, and why we're gonna do them. Because I had a lot of questions on like the workouts. Like there was like workouts that were uncomfortable, and I'm like, Rob, like, am I doing this right? Like, are you sure I'm not messing up my other leg by doing this? And he was like, no, just trust me, do it. Just trust me. You're gonna like you just gotta do it. And it's kind of like a thing where you have to like fight through because you're like, am I messing up my other leg? Left leg stronger than my right doing this squat? Like you don't know, and it's good that you have that trust into your training. You know that what he's telling you is gonna benefit you, and he's not saying anything to do any bad for you.
Right. So it sounds like the fact that, you mentioned other athletes have worked with him, good athletes. And did you
Yeah.
have firsthand discussion with other athletes that have been to his gym, or was it more, um, just things you had heard, I guess, through the grapevine kind of thing?
Yeah. Well, it was kind of like a word of mouth, like yeah, like through the grapevine, and I remember there was a lot of like there was different going to his gym. Like I saw like really good baseball players, and then I saw like really good football players, and I saw soccer players, and I saw like he could like volleyball players from all different types of like sports. So I knew that it intrigued me. I'm like, how does he like all different sports have different types of movements. So how does he like set up certain programs for the again and I knew that like some of the kids I knew that they're good athletes. So like
Yeah.
I was like so I knew then that he
Right.
was legit.
Yeah. So that kind of built your trust. And also sounds like, you talked about your goals and you mentioned that he gave you very specific information as to how what you were going to do would help you achieve the goals that you had. Is that right?
Yeah.
And also you kind of talk about the fact that he gave you a rationale for, so maybe you can elaborate a bit on why was that rationale helpful when he told you, here's why we're doing what we're doing. What was the benefit of that for you?
Yeah. So it helped me visualize like why I'm doing my workouts. Like he says, if I'm doing a workout to get my quad stronger, and it kind of just like build my confidence up. I'm like, okay, like it inspired me. I'm like, all right, I'm doing this workout. It's gonna build my quad up. It's gonna build my growing up. Like, all those different types, and knowing why I'm like what the workout's gonna do for me. It I don't know that personally just builds me up and gets me kind of hyped up.
Yeah. So would you say that that helped with your motivation
Yeah,
for your
definitely.
recovery? And is motivation an important aspect of coming back from an injury like an ACL?
Definitely.
How or why?
Um, Without any motivation, you're like my first like halfway through. I think halfway through recovery is definitely the hardest part. There's just like that middle part, and you're just like, man, I don't know. I don't want to if I want to keep going. Like you don't really know. Like you have to find something to motivate you. Like I had to find something or someone to motivate me, and it was just it was kind of just like looking at like old pictures or old pictures or videos of me in a like soccer game or whatever, and I kind of just like I don't know, like that inspired me and it made me feel like I want to do that again. And I want to be there again, and
Yeah.
it just kind of like it fueled the fire in me, and
Right.
I don't know, and that and also just being away from the fields, it just kind of built up not an anger, but just like an urge to just want to get back and just get back. So that I don't know that was my motivation, and I also want to say that my mom was one of my biggest motivators. She was always there when I there was those days where I'm like, damn, I don't want to go to therapy, and she was like, no, come on, you got to go to therapy, like you got to think of the bigger goals, and she was always there for like when I needed that one person to be there. So
Yeah. So would you say your mom has been an important source of support for you?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, she's been my number one supporter in my injury.
Right. And maybe you can talk about in some of the ways that she supported you. You mentioned that, when you had sort of times where you felt less than motivated, she would kind of encourage you to keep going or remind you of your goals, it sounds like. Were there other things, other ways in which she's been your main source of support?
Yeah, um like I said, there's those like those weeks, those months, or those small days where you feel like dang, like I don't want to keep going, or like right before you're about to hit like rock bottom, like you're just like in my mind, I was just so like I was thinking about so many things that were just putting me down, and I'm like, and I never told anyone. I always kept it in. So I would just I remember one time like I was talking to my mom, and my mom can tell when I'm off or whatever. So she asked me like, "What's up?" And then I ended up just like breaking, and and it's good because she's the only person that I can actually do that to. She's one of
Yeah.
the few people that I can actually like tell her. So I think without her, it was like I don't know who I would have told like how I was feeling or why or if I was like wondering if it was ever gonna get better, like if I was ever gonna get better, she would always reassure me.
Yeah. Was there those doubts, like you mentioned, sort of the midway mark? Was it hard and a really long recovery period um, or was it easy, I guess, to start having some of those doubts as things were progressing? Like you said that there were some sort of hard days and, you alluded to like a time when, your mom saw that you were kind of not doing great and asked
Yeah,
you what was up.
yeah,
Um, yeah. Can you speak to that a bit?
yeah. There are a lot of like days out of the week that you'll feel like down or you won't feel like motivated at all. But um, like yeah, did was I took the little battles that I won. Like I would celebrate. So like maybe um like say I was in the middle of therapy and I was trying to get my knee to bend at a 90-degree angle and I did it and I would just in my mind I'd be like, oh, let's go like to no one else that's cool, but to me that's like that means everything. That's one step in further into like closer to my goal.
Yeah.
So
So would
those
you
little
say kind of celebrating those small little milestones or victories is important?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, important mentally. Like, there's a lot of it that's just mainly like mental. Like, it's like not like I could do all the therapy all day. I could do all the leg lowering man work all day, but mentally it drains you. And then waking up the next morning, then knowing you have to go to therapy and do that again, and then the next morning you have to do it again, and then like you know like you have to you have to win those mental battles, those small mental battles. You have to celebrate them.
And I don't know if, yeah, you have to win those mental battles and celebrate them, you're saying. And I wonder, like, what is it that's draining about an ACL recovery, would you say? Is it time factor? Is it some of the uncertainties? Is it
Hmm.
a combination of things?
Yeah, I mean it's a combination of a lot of things, like uncertainties, like you said, like the time factor, like like you want the your timeline. Like everyone always stresses about the timeline when they're going to be back. Like they're always stressing about like I was always stressing about like if I'm ever going to be as strong as there's so many things that go through your head daily that like it, like I said, like now I'm writing things down, go through my head and what um like what's going on, because I kind of forget all those like emotions, but I kind of just wish I remembered all those emotions I had, like because I don't know, like they're really important.
Yeah. So why are those emotions important? And you said you started writing things down. Why did you start to do that?
What was that?
You said like you just talked about emotions that you've experienced and the fact that you've been like starting. It's important to remember those emotions. So I was
Mhm.
curious why that is, and also you mentioned that you started writing things down.
Yeah. um it's good to remember those emotions so you can know why, and it's good to write things down. So, like if I'm feeling, say I'm feeling like I'm not feeling motivated at all, like I don't want to get up and I don't want to go do or I'm feeling like I can't finish this workout, and I think to myself like why, or I'll write some down, like why I'm feeling this way, and I kind of gets like I get to the center of, like I have to like find my way through the center of it, and kind of break it down to
Yeah.
myself so it can, so I can know and I can fix why I'm feeling that way.
Yeah. So having going through that process of writing things down sometimes helps give you greater clarity about why you're experiencing what you are. And then it sounds like doing that, like with that clarity, then helps you to better work through that emotion or that experience. Is that right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely.
Are there other things that you've done, like you mentioned, kind of just looking at old pictures, or are there other things that you've done to get through your injuries? And maybe you can talk a little bit about the fact that you've had a second ACL.
Yeah, I was kind of wondering like when I'm gonna put that in there,
When we're gonna get to that.
but all right. So wait, what was the question? Sorry.
Yeah, well, I guess I'm adding in questions and statements. But I guess, first of all, have there been other things either in your first ACL recovery or your second, which we've yet to talk about? Are there specific things aside from like looking at pictures or having conversations with your mom, for instance, or writing things down that have really helped you with the mental aspects of injury? Because you said injury is you could do the exercises all day, but it's really about the mental aspects that can be challenging. So I'm wondering if there's other things you've done or that other things that might be helpful in
Yeah.
managing ACL recovery.
Yeah, like for me, I I don't know why, but I didn't really talk to my teammates a lot after that. Like, which I was really close to my teammates, I still am. But I kind of just separated myself from them because I felt like I wasn't, like I didn't have a like I don't know why I did that, but like just to not, I shouldn't have separated myself, and like I forgot where I was going with that, but yeah, like uh
Just, yeah, like was it, or maybe you can talk about like why did you separate yourself initially from your teammates?
I mean, yeah, like I said, I feel like I needed to, because I never really had, like if I didn't have a purpose of being there, like in me, like every time I'd go like in the like our group messages for my team, like I would always feel like I wish I could, like I'd see like, oh, practice ball this time, practice at this time, practice this time, and I kind of didn't really want to see that every day, or I didn't really want to, like it would just remember me, it would just remind me of like it, I don't know. Like I said, I said it's good to like look at pictures and stuff, but it would just kind of like remind me feels, and that would just kind of like make me upset because I wasn't able to play. So
Yeah.
so seeing every day like like my teammates and talking to them every day, like it was just kind of I don't know why it made me feel that way, but it shouldn't have. But
Well, but I guess it seems understandable too that, if you're not able to do something you really love or care about, that having constant reminders might also make it challenging. But
yeah,
you mentioned, Gabe, that in hindsight, you also wish that, you would maintain some involvement with your team. So maybe you can talk about that a bit more.
wait, sorry, you cut out a little bit less. You said,
Oh, yeah, sorry. So I'm just saying, like you mentioned, I was just saying, in some ways, it's understandable that, you wouldn't want constant reminders of what you were missing, right, by staying engaged with your team. But then you also said that in retrospect or looking back, you wish you had maintained more involvement with your team. So
yeah,
maybe you can talk a little bit about why you feel like it's helpful to stay involved or connected with your team.
because I mean, my teammates like I pushed them away, and they never like were just there always just to help me. They never like that's all they want to do is help me, and I kind of just pushed them away. And them helping like now, like with my second recovery, like I'm still out. I'm always talking to my teammates. I'm always
Yeah,
like they're doing their workouts. They're getting up in the morning and doing some ball work and all that, and they do the same to me. Like we kind of push each other, and and that's good that we have that relationship.
yeah. So you're,
I'm not forcing.
go ahead, sorry.
Yeah, so even though we're not right now, like it's good that I still have that team bond with them that like that we can still push each other.
Right. So your teammates have been helpful, that you said they just want you to get better, and they've been helpful. Or with your second ACL, you've made an effort to continue doing workouts with your teammates, and you push one another, and there's benefit in maintaining that integration, it sounds like.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely.
So speaking of your second ACL, maybe you can talk a little bit about what happens. You come back from your second, or sorry, your first ACL, or and
Yeah.
then you re-injure it, or walk us through that a little bit.
So the second time I tore my ACL was actually a non-contact tear. So I wasn't in contact with anyone. It was actually just myself. And I was running for I guess you can say a 50-50 ball. And my teammate and I were racing to it. And he beat me there. And we're going against each other. We're on opposite teams in a scrimmage at this time. So he's trying to go towards the net, and I'm trying to take the ball from him. And he goes for a juke and he feints left or he feints right. He feints one direction, then he makes me go the other. So he jukes me, but I kind of do a stutter step and I guess when I did that, I lost my footing, and I guess I planted my right leg wrong, and I kind of just I guess I hyperextended my leg or my knee, and I did it too. It all happened really quick, and I just heard only one pop this time. The first time I tore my ACL, I heard two pops, remember, and this time I only heard one. And but like once I heard that though, I was kind of like, oh, yeah, I think I just did something. So I kind of, but at that time I didn't know really because um, my knee was always not always, but it was especially during training sessions, like it would get sore sometimes. So at that time, it was feeling sore after I heard that pop. So I was thinking, it could not be it's not something serious. I'm not gonna like stress out about it yet. So I was keeping my mind like positive, and then I was stretching. I was just stretching out, seeing how it felt, and I actually went back to get on the field again, and I went back on the field, and I was running around for a little bit, and I got the ball once, I passed the ball, and then I knew like it was just something was off, so I decided to stand out for the rest of the practice, and that night I told my mom about it, and we were kind of like iffy to be like we didn't know to be if we were supposed to be serious about it because it was something that wasn't like I wasn't needing crutches. I wasn't in need to go to the hospital at that moment. Like I was walking on it. I was it just felt a little sore, like
Yeah.
which my knee always feels sore. So for all I know, like it was just something normal. So I wasn't stressed early, but we ended up getting an MRI done, and I guess the more days passed, like I got 2 more days passed, and I think like we got the MRI, and I also realized that like it's getting a little swollen, so that's why we decided to get the MRI. We ended up getting it, and this time, I mean, I guess I don't this time it was kind of weird because I wasn't really stressed out about like getting the results. Like I was kind of thinking like like whatever, like if not necessarily like I don't care, but it's just like, I mean, there's nothing I can do to change the results because I learned from the first time, like nothing I do is gonna change the results of that MRI. So might as well just live my life day to day like how I normally would. So my, the first time I said how like those days were stressful, but this time they really weren't. It was just more of like a like it was just kind of like anxious. So I just want to know them. But yeah, I ended up getting the results back, and the results said that I had a lateral meniscus tear, but the guy, when Dr. McGee was explaining them to me, he said that the ACL, it looked kind of iffy. It wasn't like it didn't really show on the MRI that I completely tore it, and it didn't show that it wasn't intact. So he said it might be an error, he had a guy like the week previously had like it's the same looking MRI, and the ACL looked damaged, but when they opened him up for surgery, it was completely fine. So he said it could be something like that. So I was like, okay, well that's good. Like hopefully it's just my meniscus and it's not my ACL. And but at that time we knew for sure that I had to get surgery on I had to get my meniscus repaired because that was torn. But that I wasn't stressed out about at all because I knew the meniscus is they're not nearly as serious as the ACL. Like he
Right.
was telling me, Dr. McGee was telling me I could be doing box jumps in like 2 weeks after surgery. So I
Yeah.
was I was happy, and then but he told me that there would be a possibility that it might be my ACL, but he won't know until he opens me up. So we scheduled the surgery day, which is September 25th, September 25th, and and so he told me before. He said if you wake up and you have a brace on your knee, then you're gonna know that I reconstructed your ACL. And I was like, okay. So I go to the hospital. This is my surgery day, and then get prepped and everything, and and after the surgery, the first thing I do, I was actually kind of surprised I noticed this because the first thing I do was wake up, and they told me the first time that I had my surgery. I was always kind of like an aggressive type. Everyone's a different type of person when they wake up from all
Yeah. Yeah.
the drugs that they're on. So I was a little aggressive, and I looked down and I see the brace, and I was like, I was bummed. I was like, no, oh, and I guess my mom obviously knew. Because during the surgery they had a nurse go out and tell her that it was going to be my ACL as well.
Yeah.
So she was already bummed for me. Um, like I said, it was hard. That was hard waking up and then seeing the brace was just like man.
Yeah.
So
It's
and
such an interesting way, I guess, to find out what you actually have, right? And it's interesting, Gabe, you mentioned that, this time, the second time around, you weren't really worried about it, but you were sort of just of the mindset, well, it's what it's going to be is what it's going to be. And,
yeah,
um, but then also just to find out by waking up seems unusual in some ways. So you said you were bummed. Maybe you can talk a little bit more about anything else you recall from waking up and then sort of seeing the brace on your leg.
yeah. I felt bummed, like I said, and I felt stuck because I had the brace on, and then I like I couldn't really like it was kind of I was just shocked, I guess. I was just like, well, does that like I was kind of not confused, but I was like I just want to make sure that this is what this means. So I was just kind of I was like angry because I don't know why. Like I said, I get like aggressive. Like when I wake up from the anesthesia, I always get like aggressive,
Mm.
and like I don't really remember that because I mean, like I said, like it's anesthesia. So I was waiting for my doctor to come. I was like kind of like angry because I was like I want to make sure that this is what it is. because I'm kind of like, this is my ACL. So I waited for the doctor to come, and then he explained it to me like that it was the ACL. And yeah, I guess that's about it. But
Mm.
other than that, like, I don't think it really hit me until I got home, because then that's when I felt the same like pain from the first time started coming around, and it kind of like I kind of started to recognize it in my head and my body. I'm like, this feels familiar, like these are, yeah, like, but I do have to say that the second time, the first time I had my ACL, after the surgery, I had a pump. I forgot what it was called, but I had a pump that, I don't know what kind of liquid it was pumping into me, but it was pumping into my thigh, and I had a little, I guess like a tube into my thigh, and I had to wear that for like 72 hours after my surgery the first time, and it was really annoying because it would just leak, and it would just leak down my leg sometimes. So
Like a compression kind of thing, is that what you mean?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, but the second time I didn't have that, so I was glad about that. Like, I didn't have any extra liquid leaking down, so
Yeah.
none of that. That was good.
I can imagine. Yeah, just little things become big things, right?
Yeah,
Like,
definitely.
when you're already uncomfortable and you have cold water draining down your leg, that's not going to help matters, is it? Um, but yeah, it sounds like the diagnosis was uncertain, and then so when you woke up, you wanted just to confirm what had
Yeah,
actually happened, and then when you got home, would you say the reality of what you were about to experience, that it was kind of sinking in again?
yeah, I would say that. I think it was more of like, also on the drive home, it felt um it felt kind of like I didn't really I didn't really have emotions toward my knee. Maybe because I didn't really, like I said, I just woke up, and then I never knew beforehand. I never had time to process me being like, I never had time to process like, oh, you're gonna have an ACL recovery. I kind of was just I woke up, and then, oh, your ACL was torn, so I had to do that. Then I like so when I got home, I was thinking to myself, this is gonna be 9, 10 more months of recovery all over again. And I
Mhm.
remember always telling myself, I don't know if I could do another ACL recovery all over again. I don't think I would do that. If I do that, then like I'm gonna quit. Like, I don't think I can. That's too much.
Mhm.
And so all that was started hitting me when I got home, and it was just, yeah, I mean, like, I was just taking in everything that I just had. Plus, I was on all of the medications, so it didn't really, I was out of it in every single way. Like, I just felt so like just out of it mentally.
Yeah. And so I know you're 7 or 8 months into your recovery now. Has that changed your perspective on, oh, I don't know if I can go through all this again. Obviously, you've gone, time has
Yeah.
passed, you have gone through it, but
Yeah.
are your perspectives or thoughts different at the moment from, you know,
Yeah.
months ago?
Yeah, I was actually thinking that the other day. I was telling myself. I remember I was telling myself, oh, if I did this again, I can do it. But I was telling myself the other day. I mean, if I tore my ACL again, honestly, like now I could do it. Like, I feel like I could do the recovery. Like I would have, obviously it'd be hard, but I think I've matured and mentally grown to the point where I could overcome something like that
Yeah.
again if I needed to, which,
How,
like, it's good that I understand that, I think.
how would you say you've mentally grown through the injury experience or the second process?
Because there's a lot of things that, I mean, not everyone has, no one tells you what it's going to be like mentally before you tear your ACL, and no one tells you, like, no, like, not everyone goes through it. Like, maybe, like, all the little things that your mind, um like, all the little battles you go through, like, mentally, like, no one uh like, preps you for that, so you don't know anything about that. But the first time is like, it's like I had to go through it all, like, just raw, just go through it. Never Didn't know anything about ACL, didn't know anything about recovery, about how my mind would be playing games, like, so I had to go through that, and I kind of just had to learn day by day on how things were. And the second time, like, now it feels like I've kind of not mastered, but I've kind of just gotten better at overcoming mental obstacles and like yeah, just stuff like that. And it's made my recovery so much more easier. So if I were to do it the third time, if anything, it just makes it easier and easier mentally. I'm not saying that the physical is always, it's always going to be challenging. It's always going to be hard to get fire up my quad and fire up my hamstring again. But mentally, I could do it again if I needed to.
Yeah. So you say your mind kind of plays games with you, or maybe you
Yeah.
can talk about, give some examples of that. How or in what way?
I mean, like in my experience, when I say that, I mean like at times it feels like I've told you this before, like you have like a devil on your shoulder and right shoulder, then you have like an angel on your left shoulder, and it's like there'll be some days where you're like, well, I don't want to go to therapy anymore. Like I'm done. Like I don't want to do this anymore. Then it's like that's just like the devil on your right shoulder is telling you that, and the devil on your left is like, no, you need to do this. And then some days it'll be like, oh, like, are you even going to be like, it's just like the little questions you'll ask yourself. Like, I mean, every person's different. So everyone has different questions. Like for me, one of them was, are you even going to be like as good as you were before? Like, how do you know, like, how do you know, like, what if this happens? What if that happens? Like, those are just the little things you have to fight off in your head, like daily. Those little battles you go through that
Yeah.
it's like no one else knows you're going through it, but like you have to mentally and you have to mentally fight off yourself. And it's like like sometimes you'll lose, but sometimes when you win, it's like it feels good. It's because it's like no, like I'm like as long as you have to reassure. I mean, for me as me, like I have to reassure myself, like okay, like I need to stop thinking about this. Like I need to switch it off and stop thinking negative things and think more positive.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Excuse me. So yeah, it's interesting. Like you say, almost you can almost be your own worst enemy because the thoughts, these sort of negative
hmm
thoughts, are continually coming your way and making it difficult to work through. But developing some skills to manage some of those doubting thoughts, or
right,
having some of the strategies in place, it sounds like you've developed that have been helpful in enabling you to address the mental challenge of injury recovery. And on that note, are there things that you would say that have been particularly helpful for you in terms of your recovery, or mastering some of the psychological challenges?
yeah. One of the the strategy you told me about the stop technique when you
Mhm.
told me about that one. I've applied that, and that's actually helped a lot. Is when like I'm thinking something negative, or I'll be doing a workout and I'm like this I hate this workout. It's like or I'll be thinking something just bad about myself or whatever, and I'll just tell myself to stop, and I'll focus that thought and put it into something positive.
Yeah,
So or just totally get just tell myself stop, or like I have like the I have a band on like that I always wear, and I kind of like smack myself with it if I'm thinking bad thoughts, and it just kind of flips that switch, and it just makes me gather my thoughts and kind of breathe and just
yeah.
relax, think about what's going on.
Right. So just how you mentioned, kind of flip that switch, I guess, having that exercise that you mentioned where you're being more aware of your thoughts, and then just having some mechanism or means to shift your focus onto something that you want to be able to do, or something that you want to address in that moment. Sounds like that's been helpful for you in kind of working through frustrations that you've encountered.
Yeah.
Maybe you can talk more. I know you mentioned your mom as being an important person in
hmm
your recovery, and maybe you can talk a little bit about other sort of forms of support, whether it's your mom or others, in the
Yeah.
case of your second ACL recovery.
Um. Yeah. I'd say. I mean, I'd say just like I guess educating myself has been a big support factor. I mean, it's not a person, it's not a thing, but just educating myself on like why I'm feeling ways, or like or what certain workouts are doing for me. Like I don't know, I think that's been helping me a lot, and or just to keep myself around friends that like to work, that have no problem waking up in the morning or and going to get a workout in, or just stuff like that. Just surrounding myself around people that are going to be encouraging me and always keeping me in a good attitude that I can go talk to. And I mean, I don't have like many friends, like, and a lot of people don't have many friends where they can just go and talk to everybody about certain problems. But as long as you have like at least one or at least two friends that you can go to and talk to about maybe like something that is more important, that something that's just more important than a daily problem,
Yeah.
someone that you know you can, yeah, that can relate to you, and that'll always be like, I mean, that for me, that's what my brother Alex, like, I know whatever problem I'll tell him, he'll never judge me. He'll never judge me for it,
Yeah.
and he'll always give it to me straight on like what I. He's always, you just need a person like that, at least one person like that.
Yeah. It sounds like a great brother to have.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. And maybe you can talk a bit more, Gabe, just about what's happened from, that time when you got first out of the hospital and you arrived home, and
Hmm.
maybe you can describe some of the, I don't know, main points, I guess, in terms of your recovery, or maybe
Yeah,
there's been certain milestones that have stood out over the last 7 months for you.
yeah. Actually, the second time recovery, like the first, I say the first 4 months of my recovery were like the hardest because of, I mean, a few things like my therapy. There was some issues with the therapy and like the place we're doing it at, so I couldn't go um, the normal 3 times a week, which is like the normal, like I said, and so I can only go one time a week, and then I had to do the other two. Like I had to just do stuff on my own, like at the house. Like they would give me like workouts to do. I mean, that was just kind of like I lost a lot of motivation. Like just like honestly, like I got lazy. Like I lost motivation. I didn't really have um like anything to like really push me and keep me going. Like so like I said, the first 4 months were just really hard for me. Like I couldn't grab on to like why I'm doing it. I didn't have a reason to like why I was like why I had to recover. Like
Mm.
I kind of was just hopeless in a way. And yeah, so it was pretty hard, but I ended up getting like into, I got a schedule for myself. I set out certain things that I wanted to accomplish, or certain so yeah, like certain like things I want to accomplish, meaning like I want to be able to do this, I want to be this strong by this time. And I found like I found a why into like why I want to recover.
Mm.
And I don't know, I kind of I had to find something to motivate myself, because like I said, I really had no motivation. Like and I knew that too. I knew that I wasn't doing the things I was supposed to be doing, and I just felt like really stuck. And like I said, making a schedule for myself, like, and sticking to that, and which I still do, like that helps like tremendously. Like because if you don't have a schedule, and then you kind of just feel like stressed. Like I felt stressed out, like
Yeah.
without having a schedule, and I felt lazy. Like I felt like I wasn't getting stuff done, because like I would I'd wake up and I wouldn't work. I'd be like, okay, I'll work out at 1, and then I'll be like, 1 will come, and then I'll be like, I don't feel like working out, so I'll work out at like 3, and then 3 will come, and it's like I just keep pushing that back and back. But if I have a schedule where it's like work out at 7 in the morning, go eat lunch at this time, and do this at that time, then I don't have time to like to push things back, and you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I guess,
So would you say that schedule almost helped you feel better about not only your recovery, but just yourself in general?
yeah, it kind of made me feel like I was doing like the right thing, like I was just doing good, like I was like if it made me feel clean, like I was just, I don't really know how to explain it, like I just felt pure, like I was doing what I was supposed to be doing, and that
Right.
made me feel good.
Yeah. Um, and also, it sounds like given the circumstances, right, trying to recover during the coronavirus period, is
Yeah.
that part of why you were unable to rehabilitate at one of the facilities?
No, that really wasn't the problem. I think like after the first 4 months, like like especially like now, or 2 months ago, like when the corona virus like first like started going crazy, it was like I lost a lot of motivation then too. Like that was also a hard time, and I think it was a hard time for everybody because like all the gyms closed, everything closed, and especially for me, that was like what do I do now, because the gym and like that's kind of like my life, the gym and all those other places where like you work out and stuff. So I had to do all the stuff at home, and like honestly I lost my whole schedule, I lost my whole routine, and I got lazy again because doing like when I'm at home, like I don't feel any motivation. Like I don't have anyone next to me working out harder than me. Like no one's there to push me, and so like I just lost my routine, and um, I don't know, like it definitely impacted my recovery, but I was able to like thankfully the gym owner, Rob Martinez, he opened his gym up a little bit early for like six people per
Right.
session.
Right.
So which helps a lot. So I could go out and get a workout in and actually do something, and that helped because as long like I started doing that like 7 in the morning. So that was the time of my workout that I was supposed to go. So that helped me schedule my day. So I knew the first thing I did when I wake up was going to go work out. So I was already awake at 7 a.m. and when I got home it was like around 10 in the morning. So I'm already up and I'm already ready to go on with the rest of my day. And it just kind of built on to, you know,
Yeah.
getting back to my schedule.
Yeah. So like it sounds like just having the opportunity to be around other people to get into that routine or the schedule has been important from a motivational standpoint. And you also mentioned the idea that at times you felt hopeless. Maybe you can talk a bit about that.
Yeah. Like when I say I felt hopeless, it meant like there's those times where you feel like everything you're doing is kind of pointless, or like it doesn't really, it doesn't, no matter what you do, it's not going to matter. Like like there's still like times where like I'll be doing a workout and I'm like, "Hey, is this workout ever gonna benefit me? Like what is the point of doing this? Like for all I know, I'm doing all this, I'm working out and I'm recovering and I'm trying my absolute hardest, and then what my goal is, and I won't even be able to reach my goal." Like stuff like that. Like I was just feeling like hopeless, but it wasn't where I would just feel hopeless for like a small period of time. It was where I was feeling it like daily, and I was going through it with like feeling like no, like I knew I needed something to like pick me up and to like give me like motivation, like so I wouldn't feel this way anymore. Like
Yeah.
so I have like a reason pretty much. Like what like my reason, I didn't really have a reason, which made me like hopeless. Like
Right. So
nothing
you would
nothing to
say,
drive.
yeah, being clear on kind of why you're returning, you mentioned that earlier, is important in fostering a sense of hopefulness.
Mhm.
Maybe you can talk a little bit about why you are returning. What would you say are some of your motivations currently for recovering, and what do you want to do?
Um, I'd say the reason I'm returning is because soccer is one of the things that's it's one of the ways I say I express myself. Like like I've told you that like it's not like I'm not like, really great in school. Like I don't like but when I go on the soccer field, it's like everything, like I can express myself on how I move, on just how I pass the ball, how my body is, and and I know I feel like I can like talk to people with how I play. Like when people watch me, they see who I really am when I play. Like
Yeah.
and I feel like I'm like the real me when I actually play. Like it's just me. It's no one else.
Mm.
It's just raw Gabriel, I guess. Like it's just me.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I don't know, like nothing has ever given me like a feeling like that, to
Yeah.
where, and there's still nothing that can just take away my problems. Like I'm even when I was a little kid, I'd go to practice and I'd say I was thinking about something and like at home or whatever, and I go to practice and it's like I don't even think about it at all. Like people say that all the time, and oh yeah, soccer takes my problems away, but really it does.
Mm.
Like I would go to practice and then after practice I'm like, oh crap, like this is going on at the house, like blah blah. I wouldn't even think about it. So, and I
Right.
still have not found anything have found anything that's done what soccer's done for me. So
Yeah.
that's
It sounds
motivation
like a
to me.
powerful source of self-expression, but also a way just, would you say that you really sort of just get absorbed in what you're doing and it takes your mind away from
Mhm.
other
Yeah,
things or other, parts of life while you're pursuing it?
yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
It kind of like just, I don't know. I just have a lot of love for the game, honestly.
Hmm.
I love the game.
So maybe you can talk a little bit about at the moment right now, what's kind of moving you forward? Are you hopeful that you're going to play again? Do you
Um,
have specific aspirations? Are you unclear about what the future holds?
yeah, I mean, at the moment, I'd say I'm unclear of what the future holds for me. Like, I technically don't have a spot in a college soccer team at the moment. Um, so I guess in in that, like, yeah, I guess I am, but I know what my goals are, and I know that and I know what type of player I want to be when I come back. So as long as I know those two, and as long as I know that I still have a drive, and as long as I still work every day, then I think I'll be good.
Yeah.
And yeah,
Yes.
I just need to keep up on what I'm doing, and I think the rest will just fall in place.
Right. So I think, yeah, those, the points I think are interesting. Just knowing the player that you want to be and knowing the fact that you want to play sounds like it's giving you energy or kind of
Yeah,
helping you with your current, I guess, motivation, would you say?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. It motivates me, I guess.
Yeah. And so in terms of yeah, I guess as you kind of progress in the next year, I know you have plans to go to college. Maybe you can talk a little bit about, ideally, if things were to kind of pan out, how would things play out in terms of your progression as a soccer player?
What do you mean by that? Do you mean like how
Well,
do I?
yeah, like if you could sort of imagine the next few years in terms of your soccer playing, what would it look like?
I think it'd be this next year, so the year 2020, 2021. I feel like it would just be like me purely transitioning from like the gym, like strength and conditioning to competitive soccer, and then I like because I mean there's a huge transition from that, like from the gym and then to competitive soccer. Like being strong enough, feeling strong enough is one thing, but actually going and doing it is a whole nother thing. So it's like, and that's a huge gap. Like you can't just do that and do that. Like it takes, I mean, like a long time to transition into it fully.
Yeah.
But I see myself doing that for a year, and I mean, for this next year, and I know that like, and I want to make sure that this time I don't rush it. So like, I don't have a certain like timeline. I just have, I don't have a certain date. I just know that I just know that like no matter like I said, I'm not gonna put a date for myself. I just need to keep working and working until I know for sure that I'm ready to play, or I'm ready to go and give 90 minutes in a competitive soccer match. Like
Yeah. And so I was just going to ask, how will you know that you're ready to do that, to give a full 90 minutes of competitive play?
I guess that comes with like transitioning into like the practicing. So like I'll slowly like I'm starting up on the ball again. So I slowly start up on the ball, and I mean when I feel mentally capable of playing a full game, then I think like that's key. Like the mental part for feeling ready is as big as your physical part. So I
Yeah.
mean, if you're not mentally ready to go into a slide tackle, and like then you need to be, because you can't just go 50-50 into a, just like not really like all the way in there. You need to fully invest into like every tackle you do, because if you're not going 100%, then that person is, and they could break your leg for all you know. So you need to like mentally be there as well as you need to be physically. It's the same
Yeah.
thing.
So would you say that kind of the mental readiness is about being willing to go into certain situations that,
Hmm.
full tilt or without any kind of reservation, or
Yeah.
is that what readiness means to you, or are there other kind of components to being mentally ready?
Yeah. I mean, that's definitely the biggest component. Like knowing, like making sure that you aren't going into a challenge soft. Like you're not like hesitant. Like not being
Mhm.
hesitant. Like if you're hesitant, that's pretty dangerous. Like especially coming back from like an ACL
Yeah,
injury, because you're hesitant where you're stepping. You need to be sure on what you're doing, and if you're hesitant, then you're definitely not prepared to go into a competitive match.
right.
So yeah, definitely.
And how will you kind of, I guess, work towards that feeling of being not hesitant, or
Yeah.
I'm trying
I
to think
mean,
of the
yeah.
antithesis of like, that you can be tenacious or
Yeah.
assertive in those situations.
I guess that comes from practice. Like when I came back the first time, it was weird because like like I remember all my teammates, they're like, oh, can we touch him? Like they tell my coach, oh, can we touch him? Like can we like do that? Like can we like go contact or whatever? I
Yeah,
mean, I guess it gets kind of like you get kind of scared, especially when you go back to training and everyone's like, going shoulder to shoulder with each other. But I guess you kind of have to just not throw yourself out there, but um, you kind of just have to do it. Like like just make sure that you're physically ready, like that you're physically ready to like make a challenge or plant your foot here, or you know, like like I kind of just like I didn't overthink it when I was coming back. I didn't overthink going into challenges. Like when my doctor gave me the okay to go to um like use it like 100% physicality, then I was like, okay, well, I mean, the first thing I was thinking was like I can't be hesitant because that gets people injured more than you know.
yeah.
So I kind of just threw myself in there, and I was like, I'm gonna be aggressive. I'm gonna do that, and I'm gonna try to be the same player that I was before. That's kind of how I transitioned into it.
Yeah, and so like it sounds like when you were being able to do the physical competencies and progression, sounds like that's important in helping you derive the confidence that you can go in and be assertive in certain situations, kind of knowing that you've been able to do it physically, or that you've had that opportunity and experience. Is that right?
Yeah, yeah,
So maybe, you said just a minute ago that there's a big gap between being able to complete your rehab exercises and go in kind of full tilt, full bore in a competitive situation.
yeah.
So for you right now, Gabe, you're again about 7 or 8 months into your rehab, right? What would you say are some key steps for you in your mind to bridge that gap from kind of the rehab phase to competitive athlete, being game ready?
I'd say what it is like the gym I go to, the gym. I think that's a good thing to put in
Yeah.
there in the gap, because it's not like a therapy, but it's more of like a high tense like workouts, like speed and working on like your footing, your footwork, and all that. So I think going from there to like a soccer field and like moving the ball, it's pretty much just adding another component into it. So it's like speed and agility, but just with the ball. So I think it's like that's the kind of thing you need to fill in that gap, is something like a a trainer, just something like that, just to go out on your own. Maybe if you don't have that, go out on your own and go dribble the ball and do nothing crazy. Go do some passes, just stuff like that, just to wake up those muscles that you use or whatever
Yeah.
all throughout that time.
Yeah. So like kind of having that bridge where you're doing sport specific exercises, not necessarily at a rehab facility, but like a training gym with a strength
Yeah,
conditioning coach. Sounds like that's been valuable,
yeah,
and something you'll continue to do, I guess, or
definitely.
yeah. Um,
I
eh, Go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I think one thing I realized with this is that I'll be in the gym working out for the rest of my life. I think like to stay to keep my knee and keep my legs strong, so, like to keep my legs strong. I mean, I think I just need to be in the like, and I think a lot of the, I mean, I don't know how other people with their ACL, like maybe they feel the same way, but I think a lot of us, like people who I have talked to, that they still work out in the gym, like they still do their workouts, like, and that's benefited them a lot.
Yeah. And I was going to ask on that note, are there things that you feel like you've learned or gained in any way from this experience? I mean, you've gone through a lot already.
Yeah,
So are there
yeah.
things that you feel like, yeah, you've gained from these experiences?
I think I've gained a different, like a, a different look at the world, I guess, because it kind of sounds weird, but like I've known what it's felt like to not be able to walk. So like, I mean, like when you think of it, not a lot of people have. I mean, like, yeah, people break their leg and like they know what it's like, but not everyone breaks their leg. Not everyone is in crutches or is in a brace for like weeks at a time. But it's like I know what it's like to be without without something that's like so crucial in the daily from like day to day life. And I feel like I know what it like. I feel like I've just been able to look at life through a whole new perspective in so many different ways that it's just helped me like mature in like in a lot of different ways.
Yeah.
Like I don't know. Yeah, I think that's the main thing. I look at the world in a different way, and it's weird because I say that, and all it was is just a knee injury, but that's helped me like just look at things so differently.
Yeah. Do you think that altered perspective will help you outside of sport in some way?
Yeah, because I mean, like it makes me feel more empathetic to I'm more understanding to like certain people. I mean to everyone. Like I feel like I'm just more understanding. I mean, because like there'll be those days where I'm having a bad day like mentally, and no one else knows about it but me. So it's like I try to live my life like I don't know what's going on with that person. I don't know what's going on in their head. What if they're going through something that's like
Right.
what if they're fighting a mental battle and I don't know about, So like I try to live my life like I don't know what's going on in their head. So treat everyone with be nice, respectful,
Yeah. Well, I think that's seems like
little
a
things.
worthwhile, certainly a very worthwhile thing to be able to know or to gain from the experience, right? And yeah, like you say, who's to say or who knows what someone's experiencing in their day,
Yeah,
and to yeah, just have that empathy, I guess, or give them the benefit of the doubt. Sounds like a great insight. Are you again have been through a lot, and certainly it seems to have developed some self-reflection and insights and coping strategies. I'm wondering if there's advice that you would share with other people, maybe soccer players or just any injured athlete who's going through some of the things that you've had to deal with.
I think um I guess it'd be just um do everything you can to stay motivated and to have like no matter what to have a why, like even if
Mhm.
no matter what you're going through, if it's an injury or anything else, like you need to have a why as to like why you're doing what you're doing, because if you don't have a why you'll never really have a purpose. And
Yeah,
like if I didn't have a why, then I wouldn't be recovering. So would have I would have quit, and I would have been just doing work, or I would have been working, or I wouldn't really have any, like, and you definitely need, like I said earlier, you need at least one person to go to, like when you hit rock bottom and you feel like you have a new buddy, you need one person, at least one person that you for sure know that you can go to no matter what. And I
right.
think with that, then you'll be good.
Yeah, finding out those people that can reach out to or that are there for you is really important, it sounds like, and just being clear on kind of what's driving you to come back or why you're going through all the ups and downs. It sounds like it's been important for you and your
Yeah,
experience or your journey. Um,
because sorry, but
yeah, go
you can
ahead.
remind yourself like for me when I was going through like hard times in my head, I would just remind myself that why. And like I said, as long as you remind yourself that why, then you'll have no problem pushing through that whatever you're going through.
Yeah,
You know.
Yeah, and it sounds, like soccer is definitely an important part of your life in a way that makes your life better and fulfilling. And
Mhm.
I guess having reminders of that would be useful in helping you get through some of those difficult
Yeah.
points in your recovery. So thanks so much for sharing your experiences, Gabe. Yeah,
Well,
it's great to speak to you and yeah, sharing your stories. I think certainly will resonate maybe with other athletes. So thanks for taking the time.
no problem. I appreciate it, Les.